Hi there and welcome to this tutorial where I'm going to draw a fantasy fairy. And for the setup I'm using a mechanical graphite pencil. The paper I'm using is a slightly tinted pastel paper. And I want to draw that fairy that is sitting on the rock. And she is bending a little bit forward with her arms crushed to her chest. So this is the arm, underneath is the rock, and here you can see the hands clinked to her chest, and she is holding up her dress, and she is kneeled down on the rock. She has a nice robe on, and she is just looking over her right shoulder. So this is going to be the face, and her hair is dangling down here from her face, and this is going to be the eyeline, the nose, and you can just see the mouth from behind her shoulder. She's wearing some flowers in her hair. So this is where the eyes will sit, like so, and in this way she's just looking at us just from behind her shoulder, and well, she's happy. It's a smart thing to start your setup sketch with the graphite, because if you make a boo-boo, then you can always erase that out. Now on her back she has those enormous butterfly wings, and I like that a lot, because with the wings you can just do whatever you please, whatever you think are beautiful wings. And you can find all kinds of wings, of course, on the internet, or maybe you can find some wings on Pinterest or something. Just, well, you can also use, of course, just your imagination for the wings. And if you want to see the full version of this drawing or the images, you can find those on my Pinterest, on my Patreon page. Now for the pastel pencils, I'm using the Koh-i-Noor ones. They're high in pigmentation, and of course you have all kinds of brands of pastel pencils. The cheaper ones have less pigmentation, and it's the pigmentation that makes the pastel pencils sometimes more or less expensive. Here for the skin tone, I'm simply using a very light pink. And the pastel paper I'm using is by Canson, and is not quite white. It has a little bit of a tint, so well, I just like to draw on paper that's not all white. Here you can see the soft pastels, but later on I'm also going to use some colored pencils. But if you want to combine pastel with colored pencil, make sure that you first use the pastels, and only for the last stage you can shift over to the colored pencils. First we build an underlayer of pastel pigments, and the dress I want to make green, so I'm combining different kinds of green in her dress. The dress is dangling down from the rock where she is sitting on. And what is nice about pastel pencils is that you can easily blend them together. It's very nice, and it's an amazing way to start practicing how your pastel pigments react together. So you can choose any kind of dress. Maybe you want a pink dress or a blue dress or a red dress, whatever you want. But choose different kinds of colors. For now, I'm using different kinds of green, the lighter green, the darker green, combined with the white, and that gives the dress a very soft feel. The hairs I want to make blonde. So what I do is I simply put in an underlayer of the white pastel. So once I'm happy with how the hair is dangling down, I can simply put other colors over the white underlayer. Now here I'm putting a white underlayer on the wings. That's a smart trick, of course. And now you can also see that my paper is not all white. It's a very soft ochre, and you can see that once I apply the whites of the pastel pencil, the white pastel pencil. The outer wing I simply draw in complete gray. And this is a blender stick. Now if you have very tiny areas to blend in, I can recommend the blender stick because it's a rolled up piece of paper, and it's much finer than the thickness of your finger. For the bigger areas, I simply use my finger to blend the pigments together. But I make sure that I first wash my hands because fingers tend to get a little bit greasy. So make sure you have clean hands before starting to blend. Now I've put an underlayer of pastel pencils, and once I'm happy with the shape, I can use the colored pencils. The colored pencils are of greasy substance, but they are much sharper than the pastel pencils. So that is why in this case I'm combining the two mediums. This is also a colored pencil. It's harder and sharper, and I can simply follow the graphite lines that I've drawn once I made my setup. And this is the black charcoal pencil. Now charcoal can also be used to combine with the pastel because you can very beautifully blend those together. And charcoal also is a dry substance. Here you can see how I can put in a layer of gray by simply using the charcoal. It brings a soft effect and it blends in very nicely into the wings. For the hairs, I'm using a little bit of purple and a little bit of yellow. Together they bring me that golden hair that I wanted for this fairy. A little bit of extra white will bring some kind of a glow into the dress. You can just see her feet and the calves of her knees. And for the background, I'm using the pastel pencils again. I want to put in a little bit of blue for the area around the fairy. Then I combine this with the white pastel pencil, and in that way I can create a little bit of sky just behind my fairy. You can see how easily the pigments blend together. And for the sharper details, I'm simply using my colored pencils. They're more permanent and they will stick there. Just put them over the pastel pigments. Then I put in the darkest shadows with the black pastel pen, with the black colored pencil. This brings a little bit more of a contrast, and you can see the little wrinkles in the dress and a little bit of shadow here and there just underneath the wings, and in this way the fairy pops from the paper a little bit more. So this is my fantasy of the fairy. Hope you will try it too, of course, and maybe you want to draw along with me on my Patreon page, then you're very welcome. Thank you for watching and see you soon.